press conference that highly anticipated by François Hollande.
Well, as you can imagine, it's the big story in the French press today. 20 Minutes likens this press conference to an oral exam for President François Hollande. Now, they point out that during his presidential campaign, he promised to give one of these press conferences about every 6 months. And originally, he didn't want to actually hold this at the Élysée Palace. He wanted it to be in a more neutral location. But in the end, it will be at the Élysée Palace. He wants it to be a very solemn and sober event. He is eager to set the tone and show that he is very much in control of what's going on. But a lot of papers say that he has a lot of explaining to do, including Le Monde. Now, in their edition yesterday, they said that Hollande has to justify his change of course because Hollande has been accused of flip-flopping and zigzagging and not making good on his campaign promises so far. And according to Le Monde, the big trick for Hollande is for him to show that he's got the ball rolling in terms of change, but that he himself hasn't changed at all.
And Le Parisien, what are they making of that then?
Well, Le Parisien are looking at how he's preparing for this press conference. And according to Le Parisien, he's looked at several press conferences that other presidents gave, for instance, the one that Nicolas Sarkozy gave in 2008, and also the one that François Mitterrand gave in 1984, because this is a very visual event, it's a PR operation for the president. So details matter, like where the flags are, how he's going to be positioned in the room, etc. And a lot of people are going to be watching, as you know, this is going to be broadcast live here in France. And according to Le Parisien, Germany, for instance, is going to be paying very close attention to just what goes on in this press conference.
What about left-leaning Libération? What's it making of that then?
Well, according to Libération, it's the end of François Hollande's trial period. Now the real job begins. And inside, they take a closer look at what the government's decisions have been so far and contrast them with Hollande's campaign promises. And in their editorial, Libération points out that French people aren't going to judge Hollande according to any miracle solutions that he puts forward during this press conference. They're going to judge him according to whether or not he tells the truth, whether he manages to be honest about just how bad things are. Now, moving even further to the left, the L'Humanité, what's often called the left of the left here in France, they also say that they're keeping a close eye on Hollande. So Hollande attendu au tournant, so everyone's keeping a close eye on him, what he's going to say. And in their editorial, L'Humanité points out that Hollande has to make sure that he doesn't fall into a trap that's been set out by the right and by big businesses here in France, because last week the government laid out a plan to increase competitiveness here in France, and critics say that Hollande took a turn to the right in that policy because he wants to reduce the cost of labor, and that includes increasing the value-added tax to pay for it. So L'Humanité says that Hollande needs to make sure that he doesn't turn his back on his convictions just to save the economy.
Speaking of the right, what's Le Figaro making of it? I imagine they're not being too kind, are they?
They're not being too kind. They're wondering, can Hollande, can he dispel the doubts that surround him? And here it is on the cover of Le Figaro today. And in their editorial, they say that they're not worried about Hollande's performance today. They're sure he's going to be able to put on a very good press conference. He's very eloquent. They say that you can count on him to win over a crowd. But Le Figaro says this is not about the art of speaking in public. France is in real trouble. So Le Figaro says we don't need Hollande to tell us in beautiful words just how badly France is doing. What we need him to do is to show us that he's capable of getting France out. In other words, what's needed are words, and aren't words rather, but actions.
And this press conference coming at a time when he's, he hasn't been doing very well in the polls ever since he came into office, really.
That's right, but now he's at a record low, actually. He has a 41% approval rating. Libération takes a closer look at just why. And they say that the real issue is the crisis. And it says that basically the government is paying the price for increasing taxes. But Le Point points out that Hollande shouldn't take this very personally because actually he's been given an interesting prize by a magazine called Psychologie. He's been giving the prize of being the nicest person in French politics.
Well, that's something, I suppose, isn't it? All right, thank you very much, Florence. You're watching Live from Paris. Coming up, Focus, and today we head to Turkey, which is increasingly worried about the Syrian refugee situation. I'll be talking to our correspondent Jasper Mortimer. Don't go away.